this is Teripper, and today I shall be talking to all of you kind people about more Dungeons & Dragons. I am currently standing up, that's why you see the chair in the background. That doesn't matter at the moment, because we're going to talk about some cool stuff that DMs can use, Dungeon Masters, that is, to make their lives a lot easier, and to just make things a bit more convenient. I'm the kind of DM that improvises a lot, does things a lot on the fly, and the things I'm about to show you guys have helped me immensely. However, one or two of these is actually very useful for players as well, so even if you are just a player and you're even thinking about DMing, or even if you're not, stay tuned. Before I get into the video, just a reminder, the Q&A video, put the comments in the questions in the comments if you have any. And without further ado, just going to get into this delicious stuff. So, to begin, you are currently looking at the Roll20 editor. And for any of you who have played D&D online, or any role-playing game online really, you probably have at least heard of Roll20. It is a fantastic virtual tabletop. It is very feature-rich for lots of games, but D&D especially, I think, is one of the most popular games on this platform, and for good reason. It has so many features for D&D in particular, but also for other games. First and foremost, it has a dice roller. So, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy Hanukkah, whatever the heck you celebrate. It's fantastic if you don't have physical dice, or you have to roll a lot of dice. For example, the damage dice for an ancient red dragon, I think, is like 24d6, something stupid like that. Who the hell's got that many d6s? I say that, but there's probably many people who have that many d6s. But it's just a lot easier, and also, if you want to roll to yourself in secret as the DM, it's very easy to do. You just type /GM roll, /GR, actually, 1d20. But bam, holy shit, I got a 20. How's that? So, it's got a fantastic in-sight dice roller, which is really nice. Even if you were to use Roll20 in a physical in-person game, this is really nice to have. You don't have to be rolling dice secretly all the time and your players knowing that you're doing it. And just as well, there are also really cool things regarding all this. So this is currently my map. All this, when I say that, I mean the actual battle grid. And this doesn't have to be a battle grid, so to speak. This can just be a map, like you're seeing right now, but I have used it as a battle grid in the past. For example, over here, we have a fight. For some reason, there's a massive potion on the screen. We have a fight between my players and a hill giant, as well as a couple of bandits, or just a bandit. And it works so well because you can scale everything down to the wire. You can scale the size of the individual grid units. You can scale the size of the screen. You can turn on Fog of War, blah, 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 blah. It's really fantastic for all that stuff. You can draw on the map. You can add little details. You can add text. I can do a whole video about Roll20, basically. It's got so much depth, and it's so fantastic. I've used it for all my online role-playing games for the last probably 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years, and it's been nothing but awesome since then. So I highly recommend you guys check that out, and I'm not done yet even with the features. Like I said, I could make a whole video, but instead we're just going to talk about some basic stuff. So one of the really cool things is you can find simple free token art by using something called the art library. Some of it you have to pay for through Roll20, but it also allows you to just search up from the internet. So if I want to find a goblin token, okay, I have the ones that I've uploaded. I have pro sets, which for Roll20 there is a pro subscription, but it's not needed at all to do the basic functions. But if you have the pro sets, you can access all these badass ones. God, that's a lot of goblins. Or it pulls directly from the web. So hey, look, pretty decent goblin token. And that's the art library, a fantastic feature. Then we have the journal. This is where you can make all of your notes for the campaign. You have your character sheets. You can search by tags or by the title, or content, in fact. So here are all my player characters for my current game. Here is my world. I go pretty seriously into Roll20 when I play. So when I GM, sorry. So I have all of my campaign information right here. I have all of my locations, all my people. I usually have them kind of scribbled down somewhere else physically, but this is where they end up in the end. And while I recommend you guys have a backup to this, it's a great place to have it all, because if you have this as a resource you're using mid-game, during a game, then it'll be right there, and you'll just be able to do, oh, hey, okay, we're in the Riverlands. Let's go there. Let's go to people. Oh, look, a person that somebody met. Okay, bada bing, bada boom. And this is a really nice feature. You can just click Show to Players, and it will show it to everyone in the Roll20 game on screen immediately. so nice in that respect. It'll kind of force it on their screen. They can exit it, obviously, but if you want to show everyone a handout immediately and you don't want to send everyone individually a file, then boom, you can just show them that picture. And also, that's the same for handouts and text. So here's the journal. It's fantastic. You can make characters, handouts, and folders. I have lots of folders. I have very heavily nested folders at that. So this is a pretty powerful tool, Roll20 as a whole. And then, of course, we have something really, really awesome, especially for 5th edition players, and I think for 3.5 players they also have something like this. The SRD, the System Reference Document, I believe it is called. And this has everything that Wizards of the Coast has made publicly available regarding the 5th edition system. So, if I want to look up grappling, I just look up grapple. Boom. It's got the rules on grappling. This is straight from the PHP. I believe it's actually straight from the basic free players supplement. They've also got stuff on weapons. If I want a longsword, oh look, a longsword. Boom. And also it has links. If I don't know what the versatile property does, oh look, can be used one- and two-handed. It's a beautiful tool. It honestly, you don't need a player's handbook to play in Roll20 if you've got this SRD, because it's so well organized. However, the SRD doesn't have everything, and it's not the most convenient way to find certain things. So that's why I'm going to show you guys the rest of these tools I'm about to show you. A lot of them can be found quite easily within the 5th edition SRD, but they aren't organized as well as they are in the other websites. That's why I use the other websites. So before I finish up with Roll20, I want to quickly mention the jukebox, which is really, really cool. You can play any song from SoundCloud or tabletop audio. Very cool ambient music and combat tunes. Pretty awesome. And I've got tons of music from SoundCloud. It's fantastic. I think I've played a couple of them in a video before. I do this for all my ambient combat music, my really dramatic music, ambience, everything like that. It's really nice. And of course, before we finish up, you can actually make rollable tables in Roll20. There's a little bit more complicated to get into, but I have some for wilderness travel encounter tables, random events, stuff like that. And Roll20 as a whole is very customizable. You can set up macros. You can set up macros yourself, and it's not too difficult. You just need a name, and you need to know how to write down the action. I have very simple macros for the most part, where it's just a D20. But also something like the encounter table, blah, blah, blah. So, Roll20, and will probably have taken up the majority of the time in this video, just because it's got so many features in one single web application. And it is absolutely worth your time to check out, because it's free. It's completely free. All the basic features are completely free. And when you hear basic features, you're probably thinking, oh, well, there's probably some big stuff left out. No, not really. If you subscribe, and I subscribe at the $10 per month level, there's a $5 and a $10 per month level. The only real difference is that the $10 per month level, I believe, gets access to the beta build of the website, which I don't even use, and they get access to API scripts, which are fun. And I'll make a video about that later, but it's not worth it. Anyway, all you need to know is the free version has everything you need, and more. So, that's enough about Roll20. It's a fantastic system. It's heavily customizable. It generally has everything you need to play a game of any system, for the most part. But there are ways to make it more efficient, especially for you as the DM. So, we're going to flip over to our second tool, and that is Donjon, specifically Donjon's magic items list. Now, donjon.bin.sh is a fantastic website for DMs, period. Especially for 5e. Check this stuff out. They have a spell sheet, a monster list, magic items list, encounter size calculator, random generator, lots of awesome stuff. However, the magic items list is by far the most complete in that it's got the most details, and as well as that, it also allows you to sort based on the type of item and the rarity, and as well as attunement, but that's not as important. And this is by far my favorite feature about it, because if you are a DM like me who enjoys throwing out semi-custom items for their players, like an item that's, let's say, an armor of resistance, but that's boring, right? So let's add something to it, but let's make sure it's not too overpowered. So I'm going to sort by rare items. I'm going to look at armor of resistance. Okay, I get a resistance to one armor type. Now let's take that away and let's go to uncommon items. Adamantine armor. This suit of armor, don't know why I clicked that, is reinforced with adamantine. While you're wearing it, any critical hit against you becomes a normal hit. So what I might consider doing is perhaps instead of armor of normal resistance, it would be an armor of adamantine resistance. So maybe whatever damage you have resistance against, you cannot be dealt critical damage for. I think that's a cool little thing. It doesn't change the balancing too much, but this website helps because it allows me to search for different rarities specifically, so I don't overpower or underpower an item. That's the main reason I use it, also because it's very easy to access any magical item from here. However, the Roll20 SRD also has most of these items. So Armor of Resistance. Hold on. It was here. I just can't spell Armor of Resistance, I bet. Oh, goodness. Yeah, okay, it's got individual ones for each of them. Each armor type and each damage type. That's ridiculous. So yeah, Roll20's got you covered here, but I find that this helps with finding magical items of a specific rarity. So if I'm looking for something specifically to give my party and they're level 4, I'll think, okay, maybe I want to give them something rare, maybe even an uncommon item or two. And I look in here. And this will give me exactly what I want. It's a somewhat limited resource in that Roll20 does what this mains feature is supposed to be, which is kind of organizing all these. And it is missing an explanation or two, just because I think it's not in the SRD just yet. But that's not its fault. All in all, this is a fantastic way of looking for items by rarity specifically, and also by type. That's something that you can't do in anything else. That's what you can't do in Roll20. My goodness, all the Steam notifications. All right, so that's Donjon, and I could make a whole video about Donjon as well. So instead, we're going to go on. Donjon magic items, that is the second tool of which I am talking about today. The third is called Mithril Mage's Treasure Generator. Now, I am very, very much a fan of Mithril Mages. I have used several of their technologies in the past, called Technologies Sound City, but they've got lots and lots of things. I love their name generators. They're great. But I generally just make up my names, and if I make something stupid, whatever. This, however, is a fantastically useful thing, and I will use it almost every session that there is an encounter of some sort, because there is a series of tables that spans many pages in the Dungeon Master's Guide for 5th edition. And these tables have you roll and roll and roll and roll, and then, oh look, treasure, and then you've got to roll some more to get the exact type of treasure. What this does is you fill some boxes. If they kill an individual enemy, individual. If the enemy's challenge rating was, let's say, 2, it's a bugbear. Bugbear's a 3. I don't know. But 0 to 4. I generally like the gems art to be verbose so I can describe them. And 1. That means we generate 1 sequence. So, generate, boom. They get 22 copper for killing that 1 bugbear. Now let's say it's a horde. This is where stuff gets really cool, because horde treasure is really hard to just roll for. Oh look, that's the horde treasure for a monster, or series of monsters. Horde treasure is meant to be given for basically a lair, effectively. In old editions of D&D, they were called lair treasures, I think. Could be wrong about that. But this is a fantastic generator in that it takes so much of the work out of generating treasure that makes sense, that is balanced, that is supposed to be given by the rules of the game. So that's the basic feature of this. It's really good for planning also, though I have mostly used it for improvising encounters. This is really good for if you're planning an encounter and you want to just generate, you want to find something that's balanced for your party, but you don't like them getting 3 art pieces and 80 gold. You want more. So 5 art pieces worth 25 gold and a bunch of magical items. Boom. Go figure. You're the DM. What is balanced is up to you in the end. And of course you can go as high as this here and just get just stupid amounts of money and what have you. And dear God, that's 250,000 platinum. So anyway, you get the idea. This is a fantastic tool for me personally, improvising encounters on the fly and then generating treasure for them very quickly. And just in general, a convenient way of getting the treasure that your party deserves and that is worth your party's trouble, basically. So that is Mithril Mage's 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Treasure Generator, a fantastic tool. I highly recommend you guys check out all of their tools, in fact. They have a ton of really awesome ones. If you have trouble coming up with names of any sort, they've got you covered. Now, our 4th tool is interesting. It's literally a single page. No website to speak of here. This is a GitHub-hosted quick reference for D&D 5th edition. Now, this is interesting. This is definitely a tool that I would say is the best aid that can be used by both the DM and the player. In that, in the midst of combat, or even outside of combat, all of these are incredibly useful to know. So let's say you're in combat. I actually had this come up at one point. Let's say you're in combat, and one of your players is grappling an enemy. First of all, you forgot what grappling did. Oh, look, they're grappled. Their speed is 0, can't benefit from burning bonus to speed, blah, 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 blah. There you go, you know now. Easy, you don't have to look it up. You can look it up in Roll20. You can look up the condition, but it's not as beautifully laid out, in my opinion. If you can't remember the name of the condition, or if you can't remember what exactly action you're trying to take, this is good because it's all laid out in a beautiful, beautiful format. I keep looking away from the mic. And if you forgot what some of the special melee attacks were, let's say grapple, shove. I completely forgot shove was a special melee attack until I found this quick reference a few months ago. And then my entire life changed. No, it really didn't, though. But shove is a very useful special melee attack. And if you want to know what it does, ba-bang. Very easy to use. In combat, this is absolutely invaluable. When your player asks, all right, I just moved. I attacked with my primary and my secondary weapon. Can I put them both away as a free action? Well, let's see. We have... oh my, I guess they don't have free actions, because free action is generally any kind of... yeah, here we go. Use object. You can interact with one object for free during your turn. If you want to interact with a second object, use this action. So yeah, being that they have not used their free action yet, they get to interact with one object. So yeah, this is fantastic for combat, and even outside of combat, the environmental effects are very, very valuable. It's just a quick way to shoot down rules questions immediately. If your player doesn't know what's going on, if they aren't sure what's happening to their character, give them this, tell them what their condition is, and tell them to find it. Easy as that. This is a very, very simple resource, but it's been invaluable in my gaming sessions. I can absolutely attest to that. All right. Just as a side thing as well, it will speed up your games immensely. Not having to check the rulebook or check the SRD every time someone has a rules question is fantastic. If you give each of your players this URL and tell them, hey, you have a rules question, check here first. It'll speed up the game, I guarantee it. And that's it for the quick reference, the very simple page. It's a fantastic one, though. I highly recommend it. Now, for something completely different. This is mostly for the player, but it's also very useful for the DM if you're trying to make a spellcaster NPC. As a spellcaster, as a player of a spellcasting character in a D&D game currently, this website is my life, somewhat. So this website has within it, to my knowledge, every single spell currently published for 5th edition. And that's just not true of anywhere else. That may be going against Wizards of the Coast terms of service, but, you know, it's not my place to go against. If you are playing within Roll20, however, I have found a way to get most of these spells quite easily, and that is, of course, with the SRD. You just look up Cure Wounds, boom, there's a spell. Easy. However, the SRD doesn't have all the spells. For example, it doesn't have, I believe it's called Searing Smite. Yeah, it doesn't have any of the Paladin Smite spells. And there are many. Let me show you. So if I look up Smite, look at all those smites. There's a lot, and those are just not listed in the SRD. They're just not there. But they are here. And it doesn't stop at just being useful. You can sort by anything. Once again, one of the shortcomings of the Roll20 SRD is that you cannot sort very in-depth. In this, you can sort by level, by school, casting time, by if it's a ritual, concentration, source. It's amazing. It's got everything. And also, to boot, you can have your own spellbook. You just click a plus on any of these spells. It's probably going to give me an error page. Oh, it added to my spellbook. Cool. And then I go to my spellbook. Brahm is the name of my spellcasting character. And, oh my, check this stuff out. All the spells I've added to his spellbook, and all their descriptions, all their details. I can click if they're prepared or not. I can then sort by whether they are prepared. This is definitely a website I would recommend if you are playing an in-person game, where Roll20 may not have as much functionality for you. But this is going to be the most convenient thing ever for a spellcasting player, or for a GM who wants to know what spells do, period. So, that is D&D Spells, and it is at dnd-spells.com. And I should mention now, I'm going to link all of these in the description below if you guys haven't noticed yet by looking in it. But yeah, so this is a fantastic place to find all of your spells and whatnots, magical things. So, next up, our sixth tool is going to be on Goblinist RPG Tools. And Goblinist RPG Tools is currently comprised of these two handy-dandy tools. We're only going to talk about the first one, but the map generator is it's an interesting thing. I generally like to make my own maps, fully custom if I can. But this, the random encounter generator, is fantastic. It's fantastic, especially for someone like me, as I keep saying, who improvises a lot. So, let's say my party is traveling on the road, and they're kind of bored. Well, let's see. They are all level 4. 5 of them. I want it to be a medium level difficulty. I want to challenge them just a little bit. They're traveling over plains, and I'd like there to be no more than about 5 monsters. I think that's fair. Look at that. They'll fight 2 cult fanatics. How about that? And obviously, you can't get the monster details from within this software because the monsters are not a part of the SRD. But if I just look cult fanatic, monster manual. Oh, where is my cult fanatic? Let's go to C. Oh, wait, nope. Cult Fanatic is an NPC. Something to keep in mind. Look, Cult Fanatic, 2 Cult Fanatics, 2 CR2 enemies. That sounds fantastic. They can use spells. Great. Great. And if you don't like that, 4 lions. That sounds pretty damn cool, actually. It's a lot of lions, though. And I can just keep clickety-clacking. Eventually, it's going to repeat. Like, now we have 2 Cult Fanatics and 1 Cultist. We have 2 centaurs, 2 orogs again. So it's going to repeat because it can only do so much. But this is a fantastic tool for, A, if you're like me, you improvise lots of things and you just want an encounter on the fly. But B, it's also really good inspiration for if you are wondering what kind of encounter your group is able to go against right now. Or what kind of encounter you want to be the seed of an adventure. Something like that. And I've used it several times in that end. I figured out a hag coven was a fantastic way to challenge my party a while ago because I had engaged. I had used this software website, and that's really just about it for the random encounter generator. It's got very nice customizability. You can set a seed monster. This is going to be hard to do with 5 level 4 characters, but let's say I set up an orc. Oh, let's set up an orc Eye of Grumsh. How about that? Orc War Chief. Orc War Chief and an orc. Orc War Chief and an orc. Orc War Chief and an orc. So sometimes if you set up a seed monster, it's only going to give you a single encounter. Other times it may mix and match based on the terrain and the difficulty and what have you. Like if I make it deadly, it's going to give me a lot more enemies, and it's going to be a lot more stuff, generally, because deadly allows more total encounter value, which is considered there. So this is, all in all, just a great tool for seeing what kind of encounters your party can take. If you're like me for the 3rd time, you improvise a lot, you want to know what kind of thing you should throw at them right this second. Boom. Have an Orc War Chief, 2 orcs, an Orog, and a Manicore. Easy peasy. And that is Goblinist's random encounter generator. And finally, last but not exactly least, we have the simple, modest, but relatively powerful 5th edition encounter calculator. Now, I used this a whole lot more before I found Goblinist's random encounter generator, but I still use this because on the off chance that I do plan an encounter, like I think of an encounter, let's see, my party's near the mountains. They might find some stone giants. Yeah, they should fight one. There might be one that's gone crazy. But wait a minute. Can they take one on? Let's see. So if I go to the giants, this is kind of like reverse of how Goblinist does it. So you need to find the monster and find what its CR is. Go to Stone Giant. Stone Giant is 7 CR. You just make sure you check this if you're using CR. You can use normal XP, but I prefer CR. It's more simple. And let's try 1. We have 5 level 4 characters. Calculate. This is a deadly encounter, but not by a whole lot. It gives you quite a bit of detail. So first of all, it tells you something that Goblinist does not tell you. It tells you what is considered an easy encounter, what is considered a medium level encounter, what is considered a deadly encounter. And you can use that to think about what kind of challenge this will be. So this is a deadly encounter, but not by a whole lot, only by 400 XP. For example, that hill giant that they fought before, they fought that at 3rd level. That was CR 5. It's a hard. And also, you may be thinking now, well, if it's only good for one type of monster that's the same CR, no, it's not. Add a row. Bada bing, bada boom. You can also add a row if, unlike me, you have characters at different levels. So you have 1 character's level 4. 2 characters are level 6. So now the XP changes a lot. And this is all based on tables in the DMG. Most of these tools are based on tables in the DMG in the end. And this tool is much more for people who work in reverse than the random encounter generator. People who think of a type of encounter that they want their party to fight. So if I wanted my party to fight a hatchling dragon, I would look up the CR. Like, I knew they were coming to a place full of dragons. I couldn't really use this. I could probably use it to make some intermediary encounters, but in the end, they're going to fight a dragon. I know they're going to fight a dragon. That's what I want. So I'm going to have to look up the CR. I'm going to type it in. I'm going to see if it's balanced. If it's not balanced, maybe I'll gimp it a little bit. I'll tear away some of its health or something like that. It's quite easy to play around with all these tools ad infinitum and just do whatever you want with them. It's very nice. But yeah, that's about it with the encounter calculator. And we're just knocking about 27 minutes, and I think that's a fantastic length. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this is the first time you have seen me talk about Dungeons & Dragons and you are interested in playing with me specifically, though you haven't seen me DM at all, you have seen how beautiful my world is. I have a lot of pride in my world. But if you would like to play with me, there is a link in the description for a Google form to fill out that if you do so, you may be able to do just that in a one-shot. So thank you guys very much for watching. As always, have a grand day, and I shall see you, kind people, next time. That's not F12.